First of two programmes in which Hilary Finch explores performances in the BBC archive by the great Spanish soprano Victoria de Los Angeles.
If you're bitten by a tarantula, then the only cure is to dance the tarantella. That was La Temporanica by Joaquin Valverde, and the warning was given, irresistibly and unmistakably, by today's BBC legend, Victoria de Los Angeles. This week and next, we'll be digging solid gold out of the BBC archive in the form of recitals and interviews given by the great Spanish soprano during the long 50 years of her career. Her name, by the way, was a composite of the Christian names of her mother, Victoria, star of the amateur zarzuela scene in 1920s Barcelona, and of her maternal uncle, Ángel Garcia, whose guitar playing the young Victoria would sing to incessantly as a child. She sang through the dark days of the Spanish Civil War. She sang deep down in the subway to cheer those in hiding. But how did it all begin? Was it true that she learned to sing from her mother?
I believe it, yes. I think so. I was so small when she was washing. I was so small that my head couldn't see the water and the sink. And I hear my mother jumping and washing. And she was singing all the time, and I was looking to her singing. And she had well placed the voice, because later on, when I had begun my studies, I was hearing my mother singing. My mother had the voice placed. Her sister was a coloratura. My sister had a very, very lovely voice. She used to sing Musetta with me, but she didn't like it to learn music, my sister. But my home was voice people. But my mother, I think, was an inspiration and a tuition, in a way, of singing. I was from a very simple family. Never we went to see opera, never. And I have begun to study music just because my sister took me. She said, this afternoon we are going to the conservatory of the Liceo. You must learn how to sing. Everybody says it's beautiful voice. And I went when I was 12 years old, just in the beginning of the war. And the teacher there was Mercedes Plantada, a wonderful singer of Catalan, wonderful singer there. And when she heard me, she said, yes, you can study, but how old are you? I said, well, 12-year-olds. No, too early. You must come when you are 15, something like that. So when the war was finished, my sister said, now you are 15 and a half, I take you again to the conservatory. So there was Dolores Frau, and she heard me in a vocalize, and she went up from the seat and disappeared. And I said to my sister, what is happening? What I have done? This lady has left the room so quickly. What has I don't know. We were very upset. And she came again with the director of the conservatory. And she said to him, look, you must hear this girl. She has the voice already with impostation. I mean, this is a voice completely done. I mean, ready. And so yes, you must begin to study in the conservatory. So it was done. And so after that, my sister took me to this contest in the radio. And it was such a triumph. I sang the Mimi aria. And it was such a triumph. They came from the radio to my home. Everybody around me, where you are born? How old are you? With whom are you studying? It was such like a film, like a film. And I became famous in Barcelona.
Victoria de Los Angeles, today's BBC legend, accompanied by Gerald Moore, in Joaquin Nin's El Amor es como un niño, from a 1957 studio recording, preserved for posterity in the BBC archive. And that was preceded by an interview recorded in 1993 for de Los Angeles' 70th birthday. Within an operatic career ranging from Wagner's Eva and Elsa to Manon, Marguerite and Desdemona, song was always at the very centre of de Los Angeles art, whether it be the lieder of Germany, the melodie of France, or the folk songs of the many regions of her native Spain. Her earliest reviews, one from the Basque university city of Vitoria, immediately seized on her intuitive sense of inflection and phrasing, her fine diction, and, as their critic had it, the intense communion between the voice, the spirit, and the letter of the song. But how did de Los Angeles go about selecting from such a broad repertoire? In that same 70th birthday interview, de Los Angeles was asked whether she knew at once if a song were right for her voice.
Oh, yes, instantly. There are melodies where you show much better the color of your voice. Very romantic ones. The ones that have a lot of line, these I like very much. Because in the French music, I feel much at home. You see, because Catalans, we have so much of French in our vocabulary. I mean, the phonetic vowels, they are very similar to the French. And because since I was 10-year-old, I was fascinated by the sound of French language. In French songs, you find a lot of melodies that goes very well for me, for my voice, for my way of expression. French songs, I have loved always.
the mesmeric movement of light and water, dappling Fauré's masterpiece, Au bord de l'eau, in an equally hypnotic performance by today's BBC legend, Victoria de Los Angeles, and accompanied incomparably by Gerald Moore. In that BBC studio recording of 1969, they went on to perform 2 more Mélodies by Fauré, an impassioned song of parting in Toujours, and first Les Roses d'Isfahan, in which the sheer simplicity of de Los Angeles performance seems to recover the distant folk roots of that most sophisticated of Orientalist art songs. music of France fascinated Victoria de Los Angeles, so Spain was a source of irresistible inspiration for the half-Basque Ravel. His alluring, subtly elusive arrangements of 4 chants populaires travelled to Spain, France, Italy and beyond, and they find de Los Angeles inhabiting 4 vividly distinctive voices. There's the naive, almost primitive tones of a shepherdess in the High Auvergne, an Italian girl waiting in palpably physical yearning for her lover, a plangent, bittersweet Yiddish prayer for food and faith, and first a wonderfully muted meditation on war and the pity of war in the Chant Espagnol. The Castilians take our Galician boys off to war. They go off in lusty, rude health, but they hardly come back in such good shape. Ravel's Quatre Chants Populaires, performed in a BBC studio recording by Victoria de Los Angeles and Gerald Moore. From Ravel, back in time to Berlioz, and 3 songs from Les Nuits d'été. Here the extraordinary scope of de Los Angeles soprano is revealed in its full glory. There's the almost blinding flare of sunlight at the top of the voice in the new spring of Villanelle, and the energy which rides the waves as the wind fills the sails in L'Île Inconnue. And between that first and last song of the cycle, the sudden wonder of her mellow low range, deep in the heart of the Spectre de la Rose. First, she explains what it was like to sing with an orchestra.
When you are projecting the song, you project it vocally, for instance, different when you are with an orchestra than with piano. In orchestra, you need to put it always the sound in front with more roundness of sound. You cannot do so much intimacy.
La
Villanelle, Le Spectre de la Rose, and L'Île Inconnue, 3 songs from Les Nuits d'été by Berlioz, performed by this week's BBC legend Victoria de Los Angeles, with the BBC Symphony Orchestra conducted by Rudolf Schwartz. That recording was brought back into the BBC archive courtesy of the Schuler Archive, and it'll be released on the BBC Legends label next month. Even with her full orchestral baggage allowance, de Los Angeles always sounds totally free, spontaneous, as though she were the very first singer to discover the music. She was notoriously famous, or famously notorious, for her reluctance to rehearse. As Gerald Moore dryly but fondly observed, she was not the person to overdo this sort of thing. John Amos asked her about this back in 1973.
I just rehearse in a very light way, you know. I don't like it to rehearse very much, and I prefer the spontaneous thing. And maybe because I am Spanish also, it is a difference of character of a German or from Austria, you know, that they work a lot. They are used to work each day many hours. But I like to work when I feel, when I will, you know, with my, when I really like to do it. But not, I don't work very much. It's more spontaneous than anything.
Is it partly that your technique has never given you any trouble? Your vocal technique?
Well, I don't think any trouble. I think every singer will have in all their lives, you know, and I mean the long years in a career, you have sometimes troubles and problems from the day you begin, really. But sometimes, well, for many singers, they are less than the others. And in general, for me, this has been always very more easy than other singers, because I just sing as I like to sing, as I speak, in a very natural way. I try to do it, so I think this is very good for the singing, and so this gives me very easy way of singing. Even if I have problems, why not? In everything you have little problems. Nobody's perfect.
As de Los Angeles toured Europe, the Americas, South Africa, the Middle and Far East, the still point of her life was always Barcelona, the city of her birth, to which she always returned and where she always lived. And when she travelled, she always took the music of Spain with her in her suitcase.
Since 1944, I began already singing Spanish in my last part of the recitals, and I remember going to the United States. In the United States also were so many people, they have never heard these songs that I was singing, and they were saying to me, I must go to Spain because you have made me discover a quality of Spain. I must go. Well, yes, I think I did a lot of work pro-Spain, pro-Spanish music.
of the Midshipman, with a lover in every port, by the still little-known Catalan violinist, conductor and composer Eduardo Toldrà, who died in Barcelona in 1962. Victoria de Los Angeles responded keenly to the way Toldrà's songs hovered over that elusive borderland between folk song and art song, and nowhere more so than in Farruca. When I look into the mirror, it's my lover whom I see. And perhaps most beautifully of all, in The Song of the Thistle. I don't care for the white rose, the red carnation. I love the wildflowers, and especially the thistle, smiling at me in the sunshine between its thorns. The Song of the Thistle and Farruca by Eduardo Toldrá. The music of the blind Valencian composer Joaquín Rodrigo was naturally high on the list for de Los Angeles, influenced as it was by both her beloved French music and by Spanish nationalism. The picturesque folklorist qualities appealed too.
Rodrigo used to make a lot of his music with ancient music of Spain. He has a quality of inspiration that does something magic to ancient musics, and he puts it in a modern way, and it is splendid.
De los Animos Vengo, Oh Mother How the Wind Blew, by Joaquín Rodrigo, one of the most familiar fingerprints of a de Los Angeles recital. Again, she was accompanied with great spirit by Gerald Moore in a recording from the BBC archive. She found the songs of Xavier Monsalvatge no less irresistible. The physicality of dance, he wrote frequently for the ballet, and a fascination with the West Indies resonated throughout his music and filled it with vibrant movement and colour. The West Indian musical style was, after all, partly Spanish in origin, as the composer noted. It finds a place, he wrote, at the periphery of our traditions as a new, vague and evocative manifestation of musical lyricism. This obsession bore spectacular fruit in the Canciones Negras of 1945 to 49, deeply loved and respected by Victoria de Los Angeles.
They are very well done and with a lot of inspiration. This Afro-Cuban flavor, the rhythm, the habanera rhythm, the rumba rhythm. Well, I think this is a wonderful collection of songs.
De café
Little Coffee Bean by Xavier Monsalvatge, performed by Victoria de Los Angeles with the pianist Gerald Moore in a recording they made for the BBC in 1969. And Hilary Finch will be back to introduce the second of her two programmes about Victoria de Los Angeles next Sunday afternoon in BBC Legends, and that'll be at the later time of 4:15. This week's programme was produced in Birmingham by Jeremy Hayes.
De Aqualmayo Amante and El Tralala y el Apuntado, two songs by Enrique Granados, sung by this week's BBC legend Victoria de Los Angeles, accompanied by Gerald Moore. In the bright Andalusian light of those open vowels, you can hear at once how very close de Los Angeles always remained to the primitive nerve centre of a song, to its roots in the folk tradition and in popular melody. The household in which she grew up rang with music and song, and singing was for de Los Angeles simply the most free and natural function of the human voice. As she explained to Natalie Ween in 1993,
You must go out in the stage knowing you must breathe well, to project well, to imagine, to concentrate, many things that you combine together, and these must go with you out in the stage. There are other things that come in that moment, like the inspiration, you know, when they say the muse that comes, and you must let it, the inspiration to come in the moment you are in the stage. I don't believe in the rehearsals where you put the inspiration. You say, that inspiration is the one that I must do it in the stage. Never. And I let myself go in a moment of inspiration. What comes. And each time would be different. In combination with these people that is in front of you. They give you inspiration. Singing, it is an enjoyment, not because you sing for public and you have an applause. It is because in reality it's part of yourself, part of the life, and it's there all the time in anything, in the air, everywhere is art, if you can grab it.
the drumming of dancing feet and the racing pulse of life. two songs by the Cuban pianist and composer Joaquin Nin, El Vito and Malaguena. Victoria de Los Angeles was accompanied by Gerald Moore. Her lust for life and the huge demand for her performances worldwide led to relentless tours of the world's great opera houses, from her debut at the Paris Opera in 1949 and throughout the 1950s and 60s. Mimi and Marguerite, Elsa and Elisabeth, Manon, Madame Butterfly, Melisande and Purcell's Dido, she sang and lived through them all, until the birth of her two children, Juan Enrique in 1963 and Alejandro, born with Down syndrome in 1968. It was time to take stock, and she began to realise that other things had to come first. What was more, de Los Angeles had been at the receiving end of some pretty shoddy treatment at the Met. Sir Rudolph Bing insisted on casting her in popular roles that did wonders for the box office, but rather less for her voice. The recital room was calling once again.
I began to say no to go to Metropolitan because it would have been many months outside at home. So I began little by little doing recital world that I could arrange in shorter periods. And opera, I began to left at the side, little by little disappear. And I remain with recital world. That in reality is the one that I love it much more. The opera of today, it is nothing to do with the world of opera of the 50s or 60s. Everybody has more money, there's more publicity, there's more videos, more recordings. There's a lot of technology, but it's less spirituality. It is less moving, looking for moving experiences. From nothing to have art, it produces more strong art. They think a great singer is the one that takes more money, the one that is better paid. This is the great singer in the world. And it has changed completely. The values have changed a lot. The intimacy of the dramatic part you have inside, it has took it away from many people that sings. They are more interested in being the first. They earn a lot of money and everything has changed.
Victoria de Los Angeles, today's BBC legend, talking about the changes within her own life and in the world of opera. Lieder, French and Spanish song, and the music of Baroque and Renaissance composers had compelled her interest from the very earliest days when she joined the Ars Musicae ensemble in Barcelona as a student. For the rest of this programme, we'll be focusing on a single recital, one she gave with Gerald Moore at the 1957 Edinburgh Festival, and which will be issued on the BBC Legends label next month. De Los Angeles loved to use the music of Handel as an exuberant wake-up call. In her delightfully idiosyncratic English, she sings here, "So Shall the Lute and Harp Awake" from Judas Maccabeus. And first, a wonderfully innocent, dewy-eyed performance of Violette by Domenico Scarlatti, or Domingo Escarlatti, as he liked to be called in the Iberian Peninsula.
Mezzo spose, son troppo ambiziose. Disgritate le mie mani che son troppo ambiziose. Rugiadose, amorose, violette, violette graziose. Rugiadose, amorose, violette, violette graziose. Violette, violette graziose.
Victoria de Los Angeles, accompanied by Gerald Moore, at the Edinburgh Festival of 1957, a performance preserved for posterity in the BBC archive. Arie Antiche from Scarlatti and Handel were favourite recital warm-up material, yet there was nothing predictable about the Los Angeles programmes. Natalie Ween asked if she followed any particular method in her programme building.
No, I just sit in my room and I say, I'm going to open my archives now. I go to that. Let's see, I have these songs here. I look one after another. And I put apart the songs that I have loved, like that. But I take sometimes songs that are very simple. I prefer not to make impression to the public, singing something very difficult, very important, very interesting, very profound. And maybe a song that is very simple, it is very difficult. But I never go with the idea of making difficulties. And because of that, my programs, they have set all my career that were very enjoyable kind of programs.
Where do you start when you're learning a new song? We've got the text, you've got the vocal line.
I begin to learn myself alone. I repeat it in the voice, I talk the words, and little by little it takes form. And by the years, the same song has changed. There are many songs that I don't sing now as I used to sing it 20 years ago. Now I go much more profound inside of the songs. To express myself, I feel much more free now than many years ago when I was a very shy person and I didn't dare to express too much. But it's very important, the words. But sometimes the music is so important in some composers that they say with the music what the words means. Because you see in German, I don't know so much German as that. Sometimes there have been songs where I have not understand many words, and I have done it, the same expression afterwards when I learned what the meaning was. And this means that the composer, when wrote this song, inhaled so much the words that he put the words exactly in the sound of the music. And sometimes you don't need the translation. The great composers in general, they have this quality.
Bächlein, lass dein Rauschen sein, Räder steht euer Brausen ein, an ihr Wunderbald Trübelein, groß und klein, entet eure Melodein, entet eure Melodein. Durch den Hain, aus und ein, schale heut ein Reimerlein, durch den Hain, aus und ein, schale heut ein Reimerlein. Müllerin ist mein, ist mein. Müllerin ist mein, ist mein. Mein Frühling, sind das alle deine Blumen, Sonne, hast du keinen heller Schein? Ach, so muss ich ganz allein mit den seligen Worten mein. Unverstanden in dem weiten Schöpfung sein. Unverstanden in dem weiten Schöpfung sein. Bächlein, lass dein Rauschen sein, Räder stellt euer Brausen ein, an ihr bunten Waldhügelein, groß und klein, entet eure Melodein, entet eure Melodein. Durch den Hain, aus und ein, schale heut ein Reimerlein, durch den Hain, aus und ein, schale heut ein Reimerlein. Liebe, liebte Müllerin, ist mein, ist mein. Liebe, liebte Müllerin, ist mein, ist mein. Mein ist mein.
An exuberant performance of Mine from Schubert's song cycle Die Schöne Müllerin, a close bonding of image, word and music which clearly thrilled de Los Angeles. She took Lieder very seriously throughout her life, responding with near ecstasy to the verdant rapture of a song like Brahms' Mein Lieber ist grün, which we're about to hear. And she also showed a remarkable instinct for discovering that uniquely German quality of deep inwardness at the heart of a song's ecstasy. In Schumann's Widmung, his dedication to his fiancée Clara at the start of his Myrten song cycle, time seems to stand still for a moment, as de Los Angeles finds a warm cantabile of rest and peace at the song's still centre. First Widmung, and then Mein Lieber ist grün by Johannes Brahms.
Du meine Seele, du mein Herz, du meine Welt, du mein Schmerz, du meine Welt, in der ich lebe, mein Himmel, du deine Schwere, oh du mein Grab, in das hinab ich ewig meiner Nummer gab. Du bist die Ruhe, du bist der Frieden, du bist vom Himmel erschienen, dass du mich liebst, macht mich mir weh, dein Blick hat mich vor mir vergnügt. Du hebst mich liebend über mich, mein guter Geist, mein besseres Ich. Du meine Seele, du mein Herz, du meine Welt, du mein Schmerz, du meine Welt, in der ich lebe, mein Himmel, du, darein ich schwebe, mein guter Geist, mein besseres Meine Liebe ist grün wie der Fliederbusch, und mein Lieb ist schön wie die Sonne, mein Lieb ist schön wie die Sonne. Die Glinzel grab auf dem Fliederbusch und füllt ihn mit Duft, mit Wonne, und füllt ihn mit Duft und mit Wonne. Meine selige schwindende Nachtigall und fliegt sich im blühenden Flieder und fliegt sich im blühenden Flieder und weht sich im jauchzenden Gute rauscht, wie Liebestrunken in Jahre, wie Liebestrunken in Lieder.
Two songs by Schumann and Brahms from that 1957 Edinburgh Festival recital given by Victoria de Los Angeles and Gerald Moore. These wide-ranging recitals invariably included samplings of both 20th century music and lesser-known songs from her native Spain. Here are two contrasting types of vocalese. a raw, open-air song without words at the start of the folk song A Tiny Little Bride, set by Fernando Obrados, and first Stravinsky's Pastoral, written for Nadia, daughter of Rimsky-Korsakov. Pastoral and A Tiny Little Bride by Fernando Obrados. And that was where the recital officially ended. But of course there were the encores, and time for the most intimate communication with an audience already totally under her spell. In Bonjour Suzanne by Delibes, the indefatigable Victoria de Los Angeles sounds ready and eager to start all over again.
Bonjour Suzanne, ma plus belle voix, était toujours la plus jolie. Je reviens tel que tu me vois, d'un grand voyage en Italie. Du paradis je fais le tour, j'ai fait des vers chanter l'amour, j'ai fait des vers chanter l'amour. Mais que t'importe, mais que t'importe. Je passe devant ta maison, je passe devant ta maison. Ouvre ta porte, ouvre ta porte. Bonjour Suzanne, bonjour Suzanne. Autant là, ton cœur joyeux venait de clore. Et tu disais, je ne veux pas quand même encore. Qu'as-tu fait depuis mon départ, qui part trop tôt revient trop tard, qui part trop tard. Je passe devant ta maison. Ouvre ta porte, ouvre ta porte. Bonjour Suzanne, bonjour Suzanne.
Bonjour Suzanne, Delibes' setting of a lyric by Alfred de Musset from the Trois Mélodies of 1863, the first of Victoria de Los Angeles' two encores at the Edinburgh Festival. The second, as we shall hear, was the racy Clavalitos, Carnations, by Joaquin Valverde. Song was indeed the source of all life for de Los Angeles. She was still going strong when she performed at the closing ceremony of the Barcelona Olympics 10 years ago at the age of 70. And I'm quite sure that somewhere, audience or no audience, she is singing still.
My feeling it is I will never stop singing until I die. It would be impossible to live without singing for me because I have the need of singing. It is not because I have rehearsal or because I have recital. Days that I don't have nothing, I mean, I go to the piano and I sing at night, for instance, at 10 o'clock at night. I have my windows open and I go to the piano, I open the piano and I become to sing until midnight and I enjoy it. I mean, it is a question of life inside of me. It has nothing to do with a career. It is something to do with my life. It depends, I think, it depends of the expression of singing. It is source of life. I think I will sing until my last days of my life. Only with 5 notes or 4 notes. That's it. And I think I will disappear like that.
Clavelitos, ¿a quién le doy claveles? Clavelitos, para los churumbeles. Clavelitos, con los ojos cerrados y que traigo en el cesto a precio modesto rojos y pintados. Clavelitos de la tierra dorada, clavelitos que vienen de Granada, clavelitos que los traigo yo aquí para ti y que tienen la esencia, presencia y potencia que usted verá en mí. Clavelitos que los traigo bonitos, camino mío los traigo rentón y chipé, porque tiene muchísimo quinqué para robar corazones y lloré y enseñarles la esencia, presencia y potencia que ya sabe usted. Y si tú me quieres, niño cariñoso, te daré un clavelito bonito y verás que bien marchamos y estamos juntos en un rinconcito. Y si tú me quieres, rana del alma, yo te quiero más aquí, mi cañí, y todos los clavelitos bonitos, todos serán para ti. Si tú me quieres, rana del alma, yo te quiero más aquí, mi cañí, y todos los clavelitos bonitos, todos serán para ti. Todos son para ti, para ti, para ti, para ti.
Clavelitos by Joaquin Valverde, sung by Victoria de Los Angeles at the end of her Edinburgh Festival recital in 1957 with the pianist Gerald Moore. And you may like to know that the whole of that recital will be released commercially on CD on the BBC Legends label next month. Today's BBC Legends was presented by Hilary Finch and produced in Birmingham by Jeremy Hayes.